Episode 192. Perhaps the way Han Li looked at the girl was a bit too strange, which made the old man who witnessed this scene feel his heart sink heavily.
Could it be that he brought us here out of selfish desire because he's taken a liking to my granddaughter's beauty? Oh, what am I to do now? His magic power is unfathomable. I can't resist it all.
Since you two won't reveal your clans, or perhaps you have none and are just rogue cultivators, I won't press the matter. The reason I came to find you is simply to make a deal. Once the transaction is done, you two can leave.
Han Li finally spoke.
A transaction?
The old man froze, a vague suspicion dawning that he might have been thinking in the wrong direction.
That's right. I've taken a liking to something you have. I'd like to make a trade.
The old man heard this and couldn't help but glance at the young girl.
The one being traded, it wouldn't be my granddaughter, would it? That doesn't fit either. Aside from a few extra glances at my granddaughter at the start, he hasn't looked a second time.
With that thought, the old man felt his heart ease.
Well, what exactly has caught your eye, Senior? Whatever this junior possesses, I would naturally offer it to you with all sincerity. It's just, this old man truly cannot fathom what treasure could possibly catch your eye, Senior.
Seeing Han Li being so cooperative, his expression softened, and a faint smile appeared on his face.
The two of you, what technique did you use in the main hall? It concealed your spiritual chi so thoroughly that even that chi condensation Taoist didn't detect your identities at all.
After showing his strength, Han Li naturally had to resort to a softer approach. Only by combining the carrot and the stick could he achieve the best result. The old man, hearing Han Li's question, couldn't help but exchange a puzzled glance with the girl beside him.
Senior, I truly don't know what technique I was using.
Hearing this, Han Li did not lose his temper. Instead, he kept his gaze fixed on the old man, his expression unchanged. He knew that since the other party had said as much, a reasonable explanation would surely follow.
The technique I use comes from a broken, nameless manual. It doesn't even mention what this method for condensing spiritual chi is called. My grandson and I just muddled through it blindly.
An unnamed Taoist scripture? Where did you get it? Don't tell me this is something passed down from your clan.
If this technique had ever circulated among the cultivation families, the great sects would have snatched it up long ago, by fair means or foul. Yet Han Li had never heard of any similar cultivation technique among the immortal sects.
Senior is perceptive. This Taoist scripture was actually found by my granddaughter in a cave on a desolate mountain while she was playing. But aside from that chi-refining incantation, neither my granddaughter nor I could make heads or tails of the rest of the book. Senior, if you desire it, this junior will return to my dwelling and retrieve it for you immediately.
Don't worry, I won't take your things for nothing. You two go back first and wait for me at your residence. Also, think carefully about what you actually want to trade with me. Make sure it's worth your while and you don't come out short.
Han Li said this, then suddenly raised a hand and extended two fingers. Two beams of green light, each the size of a soybean, shot from his fingertips, flashed into the bodies of the old man and the young woman, and vanished without a trace.
Senior, what are you doing?
The old man was both shocked and enraged. He never imagined that, in the middle of a perfectly civil conversation, Han Li would actually make a move against them.
Though he didn't know what it was, he knew it couldn't be anything good. The young woman was equally panicked and pale.
Don't worry, these are just tracking marks. With them, I'll be able to find you precisely. Once this is done, I'll remove them for you and your grandson.
Hearing this, the old man breathed a sigh of relief even as a bitter laugh echoed in his heart.
This senior really leaves no stone unturned, not a single gap left for the two of us to exploit. With this thing on us, even if we tried to slip away, we wouldn't get far. But if he doesn't have a backup plan, I'll take my granddaughter and bolt the moment I get the chance. After all, doing business with someone who could wipe us out without a second thought, it's enough to keep you on edge. And he's so unpredictable. Even if there's a massive benefit to be had here, I'd have to ask myself if I'd live long enough to enjoy it. But as for this deal, it seems I have no choice but to go through with it. My only hope now is that he won't silence me after getting the scripture.
In the brief time he had spent with Han Li, the old man simply could not get a read on his character. All he knew was that Han Li possessed unfathomable magic power and was an exceedingly troublesome opponent. Any tricks or shortcuts would be useless against him.
Very well, this junior and his companion will await your arrival at home.
Good. I'll come for the items tonight. You two, take care of yourselves.
As Han Li spoke, his figure began to blur, and by the time the last word left his lips, he had vanished into thin air before their very eyes.
Witnessing Han Li's ghostly, unfathomable technique as he departed, the cautious old man's face turned deathly pale, and he was utterly crushed in spirit. He listlessly called out to the girl, then slowly turned back the way he came. But what the old man failed to notice was that his clever granddaughter, after watching the other party's final disappearing movement, had a look of pure envy in her eyes. It was only when he called out to her that she snapped out of it and followed after him. The girl followed behind the old man, but kept glancing back at the spot where Han Li had vanished, as if she was reluctant to leave.
Kids these days.
Han Li, hidden in a nearby tree, watched the two walk away and shook his head lightly. Han Li was all too familiar with that look of infatuation on the young woman's face as she left.
Back then, when I first saw Li Huayuan commanding that giant flood dragon, I must have worn the same envious look.
Thinking back to that moment, Han Li found himself amused by this young woman. With a faint smile, he vanished from the tree without a sound. When he reappeared, he was already within the high walls of the prince's mansion. At this moment, Han Li employed not only the invisibility art, a spell capable of deceiving mortals, but also the Qi concealment technique, a skill only cultivators at the late Foundation establishment stage could wield. This made him slip past the servants and maids of the prince's manor like a ghost, without a single soul noticing anything amiss. Moments later, Han Li slipped into the inner courtyard of the mansion, quietly hiding behind a pillar in a secluded corridor as he coldly observed everything around him. Not long after, as a moderately attractive maidservant passed nearby, Han Li flicked his wrist. A fist-sized clump of yellow light shot from his hand, striking the girl squarely on the head. The maidservant swayed and was about to topple to the ground, but before she could actually fall, Han Li had already darted forward, caught her in one arm and slipped back behind the pillar in the corner. Han Li expertly straightened the girl's limp body, positioning her to face him. Then, opening his mouth, he expelled a stream of green spiritual qi that struck her closed eyelids. At once, the young maidservant's eyelids twitched a few times, then slowly opened her eyes. The little maid had barely stirred awake when her eyes opened to a pair of golden eyes staring coldly at her. She tried to struggle and scream, but those eerie eyes suddenly blazed with light, shooting straight into her own. The maid felt the world spin, as if everything had turned golden. Then her head lolled to the side, and she slipped into unconsciousness. Han Li looked at the maid who had fainted again, let out a soft sigh, withdrew one hand, and gently wiped the sweat from his face.
Even though the mind control technique only lasted a brief moment, it drained my spiritual energy immensely. I could barely manage it. No wonder this spell was ranked as one of the top 10 useless techniques at Foundation establishment. Although a successful cast would make the target obey the caster like a slave for a period of time, the restrictions were so numerous that very few cultivators actually bothered to learn it.
This soul control art could only be used on mortals. Against cultivators, it was completely useless. Even if the gap in cultivation between them was vast, a simple rotation of spiritual power through the mind was enough to effortlessly neutralize the spell's mind-confusing effects. Secondly, this technique required the practitioner to not only be a foundation establishment cultivator, but also possess a spiritual sense far beyond the ordinary. As a result, the vast majority of foundation establishment cultivators were unqualified to practice it. With these two restrictions in place, the number of cultivators still interested in practicing this technique was pitifully small.
But for Han Li, none of that was a problem.
Han Li had always fretted over knowing too few foundation establishment spells, so when he spotted the incantation for this one at the Celestial Pavilion, he jotted it down out of sheer curiosity.
When he got back to his cave dwelling and practiced it a bit, it came together without the slightest hitch, which really took him by surprise.
Now, using this technique on the little maid, it succeeded in one go as well. Han Li glanced around cautiously, then extended a finger and gave it a light flick. A small, milky white orb of light surged to his fingertip. He touched it to the maid's brow, and the orb melted into her skin, vanishing without a trace. The young maid stirred awake, immediately sitting up and staring blankly at Han Li without a word.
What was your steward's background? When did he enter the manor? Where does he usually go? And who outside the manor does he frequently meet?
The young maidservant he had chosen to target was the very one the new king had sent to fetch the young prince when the banquet began. By all rights, she should have held a fairly high status among the servants.
Which steward is the master asking about?
Are there that many stewards in the mansion?
Within the estate there is Chief Steward Wang, who oversees all affairs, Steward Li, who handles procurement, and Steward Zai, who manages internal household matters.
Which steward was it today greeting the guests at the gate?
That would be Steward Wang, the one with the most authority.
I'm asking about him.
Han Li had no idea how long this spell could keep someone under his control, so he cut straight to the point. If the little maid woke up now, things would get a lot more complicated.
According to the old servants in the mansion, Steward Wang grew up with the prince as his half-study companion, serving him for 50 or 60 years now. Aside from accompanying the prince into the palace once a month, he never sets foot outside the manor otherwise, so he never meets anyone beyond its walls. And if he does, it's only the prince's close circle of friends. As for his relationship with the young prince, that was a bit strange. According to the young prince's old nanny, before he turned 10, his temper was explosive. He had a terrible relationship with Steward Wang, once even slapping him in public. But after he turned 10, the young prince underwent a sudden and complete change in temperament. Not only did he become polite and courteous to everyone, but he treated Steward Wang with exceptional respect, even observing the rights of a junior toward an elder. This greatly relieved the old prince, who always said it was the blessing of the gods.